Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess named Snow White. She had skin as white as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as black as ebony. Snow White was kind and gentle, and she loved to sing and dance. She was friends with all the animals. Snow White lived in a grand castle with her stepmother, the Queen. The Queen was very beautiful, but also very vain. She had a magic mirror, and every day she would ask it, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror always replied, "My Queen, you are the fairest of them all." This made the Queen very happy because she liked being the most beautiful. One day the mirror gave a different answer. When the Queen asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" the mirror replied, "My Queen, you are beautiful, it is true, but Snow White is now fairer than you." The Queen was furious. Her heart filled with jealousy, and she no longer cared for Snow White. She wanted her gone. So she called for a huntsman and ordered, "Take Snow White into the forest, kill her, and bring me her heart as proof." The huntsman took Snow White deep into the forest. He was a kind man and could not bring himself to hurt her. "Run away, princess," he whispered. "The Queen wants you dead. Hide and never come back." The huntsman returned to the Queen with the heart of a wild boar. The Queen was pleased, for now she believed she was the fairest in the land. Snow White, however, was alone in the woods. She was scared and didn't know where to go. She walked and walked until she came to a clearing. There, in the middle of the clearing, was a tiny cottage. Snow White peeked inside the cottage. It was messy. There were 7 little plates on the table, 7 little chairs, and 7 little beds in a row. Snow White was so tired. She walked inside, ate a little from each plate, drank a little from each cup, and then lay down on one of the little beds, falling fast asleep. The owners of the cottage were 7 dwarfs who worked in a nearby mine. Every night they came home to their cosy cottage. When they arrived this evening, they were surprised to see a light on. "Who's been in our house?" they cried. They found Snow White sleeping soundly. She looked so peaceful and innocent that the dwarfs decided not to wake her. Section 5. The Poisoned Comb. The next morning, Snow White woke up. She was startled to see the 7 dwarfs staring down at her. They were grumpy at first, but Snow White's sweetness charmed them. They agreed to let her stay if she kept the cottage clean and cooked for them. Snow White was happy to have a home. The dwarfs warned her about the Queen. They told her to be careful and never let anyone inside while they were away. Meanwhile, the Queen asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "My Queen, you are fair, it is true, but Snow White is still fairer than you." The Queen was furious. She knew the huntsman had betrayed her. She decided to get rid of Snow White herself. She disguised herself as an old peddler woman and went into the forest. The Queen, disguised as the peddler woman, found Snow White alone at the cottage. "Such a lovely maiden," she croaked. "Would you like a pretty comb for your beautiful hair?" Snow White loved pretty things. She didn't recognize the Queen in disguise. She let the woman inside. The Queen put the comb in Snow White's hair. The comb was cursed. As soon as it touched Snow White's hair, Snow White fell to the floor in a deep sleep. The Queen laughed. "This time, you won't escape me," she hissed. The dwarfs returned home and found Snow White unconscious. They saw the comb in her hair. Immediately they knew the Queen was responsible. They removed the comb and Snow White woke up. She was weak but safe once more. The Queen returned to her castle. She asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror answered, "Snow White still lives, my Queen. She is the fairest of them all." The Queen was angrier than ever. She knew she had to try one final time. She brewed a powerful sleeping potion and dipped an apple into it. The apple looked delicious, red and shiny, but one bite was enough to put someone to sleep forever. The Queen disguised herself as a farmer's wife and went back to the cottage. She gave Snow White the poisoned apple. Snow White took one bite and immediately fell into a deep, death-like sleep. This time even the dwarfs could not wake her. They were heartbroken. They believed she was gone forever. They placed her in a glass coffin so they could always see her beautiful face. One day, a handsome prince was riding through the forest. He came across the dwarves and the coffin. He had never seen anyone so beautiful. He leaned down and kissed Snow White. As soon as the prince kissed Snow White, the piece of poisoned apple dislodged from her throat. She woke up. The prince and the dwarfs were overjoyed. Snow White was safe, and the queen's wicked spell was broken. The queen learned that Snow White was alive and had found true love. She was so overcome with rage and jealousy that she ran into the woods and was never seen again. Snow White and the prince were married. They lived happily ever after, proving that kindness and courage can overcome even the darkest magic.